And this is a Mirror Now impact. As part of our relentless coverage, speaking out for those who've been living in Mahul in Mumbai, the National Human Rights Commission has now taken cognizance of Mirror Now's campaign for the residents of Mahul. The NHRC is to probe the violations on how these people, residents of Mahul, have been forced to live in the given area despite toxic air. Our correspondent Aishwarya getting us further inputs here on this. Aishwarya, this is of course with respect to our relentless coverage. Time and again we've raised the issue of how you have residents of Mahul being forced to live in the given area as what has been provided by the BMC there as when they were relocated. But it is toxic fumes which has repeatedly, as they have observed, killed several of their family members, several people living there. What else has the NHRC said in taking note of this reportage?
Well, I'm standing right outside the National Human Rights Commission here in New Delhi, and the Commission has now taken cognizance of the reports that we have been doing from Mahul. What we are made to understand is that they think that prima facie there are a lot of violations that have taken place with these residents who are currently staying in Mahul, though they are saying that they would do an independent probe and then they will come to a conclusion after the probe finalizes the report. That is when they'll be able to highlight each and every violation that has been done in this case. But yes, a big Mirror Now impact. Now we have been relentlessly covering the conditions in which these residents have been staying. Some of them saying that they were better off in the houses where they used to stay before. Most of them lamenting the fact or lamenting the day when they thought that they should shift to this new place. Some of them saying that they are now dying a slow death. All this has been taken up by Mirror Now.
Please stay on with us. We have Mr. Prakash Gangadhare of the BJP, who's in the BMC. Mr. Prakash, many thanks for speaking with us. Your first reaction of what the NHRC now is stating. It is very clearly taken into cognizance the voices of the residents of Mahul with respect to Mirror Now's reportage, saying that this is unhealthy and we will probe this further. Mr. Prakash Gangadhare, is my voice going through, please?
आवाज कम आ रहा है, आवाज कम आ रहा है, आवाज। हेलो
जी, आप ये बताइए कि NHRC जो है, नेशनल ह्यूमन राइट्स कमीशन, इट हैज टेकन नोट ऑफ आवर कवरेज, जिसमें हमने माहौल के लोगों की आवाज़ पूरे देश तक पहुंचाई, ये कहने के लिए कि BMC ने जहां इनके घर बनाए वहां वो सांस नहीं ले पा रहे हैं, कई बीमार पड़ चुके हैं, कई लोग मर चुके हैं। आपका इसके बारे में क्या कहना है?
हेलो
मिस्टर प्रकाश गंगाधारे, आपको इसके बारे में बात करना है या नहीं हमसे?
हेलो, माहौल के बारे में?
यस, वी कैन हियर यू। जी,
आवाज आ रही है मेरी? मेरी आवाज आ रही है? कोई भी संस्था अगर अच्छा काम करते है उसका हम अभिनंदन करेंगे। सरकार भी इतनी सतर्क है कि वो भी ध्यान दे रही है और इसलिए ये सबकी जिम्मेदारी है कि ऐसे लोगों को भी देखभाल होनी चाहिए। मेरा तो पहले से मानना है, पहले मैं डिबेट पे बात किया हूं कि हर एरिया में जहां जहां ये आपदग्रस्त लोग हैं उनके लिए हर वार्ड में ऐसी जगह ढूंढो वहां PAP बने। आवाज आ रही है मेरी? हेलो
प्रकाश जी, अगर आवाज नहीं आ रही है आपको आपके टेलीविजन सेट का वॉल्यूम कम करना पड़ेगा।
टेलीविजन लगा ही नहीं मेरे यहाँ, कोई आवाज नहीं है और इसलिए
तो आपको आवाज क्यों नहीं आ रही है? ये बहुत सीधा सवाल मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ। आई एम सरप्राइज दैट यू कांट हियर मी। एक बहुत सीधा सवाल है। माहौल के जो लोग हैं महीनों से ये शिकायत कर रहे हैं और BMC हैज बीन इन डिनाइल के ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है। NHRC ने हमारे रिपोर्ट का नोट लिया है और वो कह रहे हैं दिस इज अ सीरियस इनफ केस टू बी इन्वेस्टिगेटेड। इसके बारे में आपका क्या कहना है?
ऐसी दुर्घटना होनी ही नहीं चाहिए। अगर हो गई तो उसको अभी रिसर्च कर रहे हैं। हमने पहले भी कहा कि ये रिसर्च हो रहा है, जो पोल्यूशन हो रहा है उसके बारे में रिसर्च हो रहा है। अब वो आ जाएगा, उसका सब रिपोर्ट आ जाएगा, उसके ऊपर सरकार भी और मुंबई महानगर पालिका भी ध्यान देगी।
प्रकाश जी, मेरा एक बहुत सीधा सा सवाल है, आप पता नहीं क्यों जलेबी घुमा रहे हैं इस बात पे। ऑल अलोंग महीनों हो गए माहौल के लोगों को इस बारे में शिकायत करते हुए, बीएमसी ने, बीजेपी सरकार ने कुछ नहीं सुना। जब मेरा नाव पे इसकी रिपोर्टाज हुई, जब इनकी आवाजें पूरे देश तक पहुंची, जब नेशनल ह्यूमन राइट्स कमीशन ने बोला कि ये सीरियस इनफ केस है जो इन्वेस्टिगेट करना चाहिए क्योंकि इतने लोग मर चुके हैं, अब आप कह रहे हैं कि आप इस पे काम करेंगे। पहले क्या कर रहे थे आप? Okay, clearly not willing to answer that on the pretext that he can't hear my questions. Let's get in a word here from Mr. Vijay Panjwani, who's counsel for the Central Pollution Control Board. Mr. Panjwani, in your view, with the NHRC now stepping in on this, saying that the air in the given area is toxic, not livable for people there?
Yeah, sure. Such things and such circumstances are growing in number in India. It is because the State Pollution Control Board is not performing its duties. It is for the State Pollution Control Board to take immediate steps, preventive steps, so that pollution is not caused. It is not a very difficult thing because they have to install certain machinery, certain pollution control devices, so that the air is not contaminated with the emissions. But what the State Pollution Control Board does is nothing. They just sleep over the matter. The environment minister of the state government sleeps, and this is the result of that lethargy, and I'll say negligence and criminal negligence. Thank you.
No, Mr. Panjwani, what do you think is the role of the Central Pollution Control Board here on this, in keeping track of what each respective state pollution board is doing?
State Pollution Control Board is the first entity which must come into the picture. Second is the local body. The local body means the municipal corporation, in which the industry is located. That municipal corporation or local body, by any name, is responsible. So these are the two main, the State Pollution Control Board and the municipal corporation of the area. These are the two entities mainly responsible. Then there are a number of people who are in supervisory role. They are not in a role to go to the street level and get things done. Now, Central Pollution Control Board is also one of those sitting on the shoulders of everyone. It is not supposed to, under the law, under the Air Pollution Act, to go to the street level, because the CPCB role is restricted to making...
Mr. Panjwani, my very simple question here on this being that you know that the State Pollution Control Board has not been doing its job. You know that the given BMC, the municipal body here, has been washing its hands of this case as well. So why doesn't the CPCB step in then? Has the CPCB also been washing its hands of this case then? Looking away from the misery plight of people living in an area which has now been fatal for them.
You are right. Central Pollution Control Board has a role, definitely has a role, but it is limited.
Exactly.
Similarly,
exactly. That's what I'm getting to. So instead of blaming the BMC or the State Pollution Control Board, I'm wanting to know, why didn't the CPCB do anything about it?
Why didn't the Minister of Environment do anything about it? They are enjoying this World Environment Day on June 5th. For last 1 week, they are celebrating World Environment Day. So why doesn't the ministry do anything?
All right. So this is a shameless blame game. You have a voice of the BJP and the BMC blaming another body. You have a voice from the CPCB blaming the state government or the Union Environment Ministry to that extent. Let's get in a word here. Let's get in a legal word which will help us understand where the buck stops on this. We have Mr. Sanjay Hegde, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, with us over the phone line. Many thanks for being with us, Sanjay. In your view, none of these respective bodies have paid attention to people living in Mahul crying out desperately for help, that they're living in a place which is toxic, it has proved fatal. They feel that it has proved fatal because so many people in the given locality, so many family members have not just fallen sick but have died as well. What next? You have the NHRC stepping in. Will this help the people?
The NHRC will help the people to some extent, but the NHRC also has its own limitations because it's not a court. It is a recommendatory body. The NHRC has powers of investigation, and after it investigates, it can make recommendations. And if necessary, then the NHRC can take the matter to a court on behalf of those people whom it seeks to help through its recommendations. Having said that, there are 2 or 3 different aspects of the problem. One is that Mahol was an industrial area where industries were allowed to be set up. Now, if you keep it as an industrial area and you say that pollution levels should be at a certain level there, beyond that we will shut down the industry, does anybody say that? No. You do not enforce even the norms for an industrial area in Mahol. Secondly, what do? You also allow it to become residential, and when people set up their houses there. Not satisfied with that, you send fresh people to be resettled there till their houses are built by the Mahada. That is where the behavior of the government becomes truly criminal. You are sending people to an area which is known to be a gas chamber. You do have a responsibility there. And as I've told you earlier, there are several administrative solutions which the authorities could have done. It's not necessary that Mahol is the only area in which you can resettle people. Move people out of there if you want it as an industrial area. If you don't want it as an industrial area and you want people to settle in there, then shut down industries which are polluting. You can't have it both ways.
Right. Sanjay, also help us understand with respect to the findings now, which would be out eventually with the NHRC stepping in investigating this further. Can residents of Mahol take these findings to court against the BMC or the state government?
If the NHRC investigates, makes findings and then recommendations, and if those recommendations are not implemented, then residents and the NHRC both will have rights to take the matter to courts, which can pass binding orders in that regard. The report of the NHRC will be hugely helpful to the residents who take the matter to court.
Absolutely, because so far this has just been their own experience speaking out, which has been part of our campaign here. When you have the findings of the NHRC with respect to pollution levels being toxic in the given area, which is when that it adds meat, it adds might to their argument to be knocking on the doors of the court. Sanjay, can this mean that you have the BMC, the State Pollution Control Board, as well as the Central Pollution Control Board guilty of washing its hands of this matter?
Irrespective of a judicial finding, the fact is that they are guilty. The question is, what can the law do? The law can be enforced to shut down those polluting industries. The law can also be used for compensating those who have suffered. The question will be of the quantum of compensation. How much the people is due to people who have lost their lives, how much is due to people who have had to be hospitalized. That would be the nature of the judicial process if there are findings in this regard.
Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, Mr. Sanjay Hegde, many thanks for speaking with us and spelling it out very clearly. Now that you have the NHRC taking note of our findings, of our relentless campaign with respect to the suffering of the people of Mahul is concerned, these findings will be now put on record. It would not just be sound bites or versions of people, which is equally important here, that brought it to the NHRC's notice. Now you're going to have a legal document on record based on which the residents can knock on the doors of the court seeking justice, seeking compensation for all the loss of life and health that they have faced in being relocated to an area which was industrial, not meant to be a residential area.